Hola, ¿qué tal, amigas y amigos del fútbol americano? Mi nombre es Matías Ramón y soy director de Fumble Show y colaborador de fútbol americano en Mundo Deportivo. En el día de hoy estamos en los estudios de Mundo Deportivo aquí en Barcelona con un invitado muy especial. Una persona que nos ilusiona a todos los fans y seguidores del fútbol americano aquí en nuestro país. Estamos ni más ni menos con un recién llegado aquí a la ciudad de Barcelona, con una persona con la que tenemos muchas ganas de hablar, con una persona que hoy nos va a decir muchas cosas y con la que tenemos el placer de estar. Voy a cambiar al inglés, ya que nuestro invitado de hoy es Jason Robinson, nuevo socio y propietario de los Barcelona Dragons, del equipo de la ELF, de la Liga Europea de Fútbol Americano, que tanto lo está petando aquí en Europa y que tantas ganas nos da a los seguidores del fútbol americano aquí en España y en todos los países latinos. Voy a cambiar al inglés para introducir a Jason, el invitado de hoy. Hello, Jason. How are you doing? Are you doing good?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. Excited to share.
I was saying that are your first days in Barcelona now?
Yeah.
How is it? How are your first days here in Barcelona?
I love it. It's a great city. As I was telling your colleagues off camera, I'm able to do the thing I love every day, all day, working on the Barcelona Dragons and working in American football. So I like to think that anywhere in the world that I'd be enjoying myself right now. But it's even better when I can close my laptop and there's a beautiful beach, great restaurants, paella, very good people, and so much other parts of the sporting world to take advantage of, man. So I love it, and I'm very thankful that we decided to embark on this journey here in Barcelona.
Yeah, because this is a question of many people. How did the journey start?
Yeah, so myself, I'm a tech entrepreneur, so I own a company called Playbook 5, which is a virtual reality learning platform for athletes. And what that means is we create courses, digital content that is accessible through a virtual reality headset. And the whole goal with that is to help people further their sports intelligence and vision and decision making. So years ago, when I first started that company, I was able to go to London and I started to work with some international teams in London. And at that time, too, we also tried to help formalize the professional circuit there. As I started to talk with more international clients in my company, we also found opportunities to be able to invest into these teams as well. Barcelona Dragons was the first one, and it made sense. And for us, after seeing how explosive the international American football market was going, and then when this opportunity came about, it was a no-brainer. And then when all the other pieces of the puzzle start to come together, when you think about the tourism that takes place here, the entertainment factor, the legendary and the legacy of the region as far as the old Barcelona Dragons are considered, it's a no-brainer. So it was kind of we got lucky, to be honest. There's a lot of different places and markets that are part of this deal, but I like to think we got one of the better, if not the best market in all of the European League of Football.
Hopefully. And how do you see this football atmosphere feeling here in Spain? Do you see this growing? How do you see it?
Yeah, it's growing. I think that the word to describe it is anxious. And I don't think it's like a bad anxious. It's an excited anxious, an optimistic anxious. You have, years ago when the Barcelona Dragons were playing in the 90s, it was happening. It was, Montjuic was crowded with people. You had very competitive teams, championship caliber teams. You had some of the more notable names in American football in the world, like John Kitna and others playing in this team. And then all of a sudden, everything goes away, right? And things have been gone for some time. But a lot of that pride, a lot of that excitement, a lot of that fun still existed. So when this team and the ELF was able to help this team get going 3 years ago, it brought back some excitement. And obviously, things have not been quite the same experience. This is not the NFL Europe Barcelona Dragons. This is the ELS Barcelona Dragons. And I think since we've gotten involved, at least, and since I've been here, I've felt like that anxious anxiety, like what's next? Like this place is ready to explode. Like they're ready to have a professional, high caliber, high performing American football franchise, and we're thankful to be able to help build that.
Oh, it's great. You mentioned many interesting topics. You said that the old Dragons, they made it really good. We were talking off camera before. Do you want to make, or do you want to connect these Dragons with the old Dragons, with all the massive events that used to be in the city?
And I'll say this, we are connected. when I say old Dragons, I'm really speaking of different eras. But right now, we're one Dragon family. And that's the legacy Barcelona Dragons franchise. This is just today. I sat down and had coffee with some of the more popular players and notable players from that team. And that's something I've been doing weekly since I've been here. We'll also kind of put that unification and camaraderie on display here at the July 29th match at Terrassa versus Paris. So there's just one Dragon family, but it goes across two eras. And, we have our older Dragons that were here in the 90s and that laid the foundation for what is now American football in Spain. So much that now, people are trying to build another team in another city. That all of that is because of what the original and the old Barcelona Dragons did. But yes, we are connected, and we plan to continue to connect with them to build into the future.
And how do you see the people? Since you arrived here like a couple of months ago, how do you see people? You see the people excited with your arrival?
Yeah. I mean, I think change of control and new faces are always, you get mixed bags, right? I think for the majority, everyone's excited and they're anxious to see what's next. But naturally, look, we're not negligent to the fact we're American. It's outside influence. It's the Spanish league. There was Americans that came before in the NFL Europe that kind of built the excitement and then left. So some people also are very curious, and we understand that. But that's just to be expected. And I feel like personally, with every day that we continue to build this future and every initiative that we launch, I think people become more and more comfortable with what we're doing and the future that we're creating. And it's all positive. It's all positive.
It's great because there's many people that is excited of having, a Super Bowl owner as a Super Bowl champion. As an owner, but
not this one.
Well, but still people is asking you, how is it, right?
For sure.
But the question a lot of people is asking us, how does it end? Super Bowl MVP, not a Super Bowl champion, it's a Super Bowl MVP. Here in Barcelona, ending it, and owning a team. How all of the journey started? How does a Super Bowl MVP know about Barcelona Dragons? How did he end here?
I mean, it's a pretty romantic story that I think Malcolm is probably best to tell at some point when he gets on the Fumble Show. But I think Malcolm's involvement, and we'll talk about Malcolm Smith, his involvement with the Barcelona Dragons is really an indication of what strong relationships do, and really one of the big pillars and pieces of this sport of American football, and the camaraderie and respect that's created through that. So Malcolm's someone who I met when we were teenagers competing against one another. We eventually became peers as we prepared for the NFL draft together. We then became friends both on and off the field, and we kind of different plays, played different roles in each other's lives, and we've partnered on different creative projects, and now we've partnered for this journey here. But I think that it's all about brotherhood, bond, vision. I mean, it's a great thing. I think the people of Barcelona and certainly the people of Europe should feel special and especially important, knowing that, look, there's only been 50 some odd Super Bowls played. There's only been 50 some odd Super Bowl MVPs. And of those Super Bowl MVPs, there's only been 3 ever to play defensively. So Malcolm is definitely a rare find, very smart guy, a good friend of mine. And I'm excited to see how to get together, we can help to build up this ecosystem here and establish some pride. But also, it didn't hurt that Malcolm is a FC Barcelona fan. So that was easy for me to sell him on this. It was not like I had to take him out to, no disrespect, but to Hamburg, or anywhere else. It was like, no, I like Barcelona. I like FCB. He was comfortable. He had been to several games in Camp Nou, and he was really excited about the culture here. So, but again, that's even more so why we feel like this place is special. You don't have to convince people on Barcelona. Barcelona sells itself. It always has, and it always does. And we're just plugging into an already thriving market and entertainment destination.
It's great to hear that. People from Barcelona we love to hear that. It's an incredible thing that most of our followers will love that, right? So most of the people, football fans, Dragons fans are thinking, what are the major changes that you ownership are bringing to the team, to the Barcelona Dragons?
Sure. So, this year it's a lot of observation. I think the timing of the deal impacted that. We really got things done right before the season this year, which didn't leave us a lot of room to do a lot of implementation and do all the things that we want to do on our roadmap. So this first season for us is a lot about observation, learning the fan base, learning the culture, learning the rules of engagement, if you will, with the American football market here through the ELF and the market abroad. But going forward, I think that there's a number of levers that we want to pull on to help build this franchise up. I think we think about sponsorship, being able to attract top sponsorship. I think that is more on the business side of things, but it's very important for us to control the long-term revenue. You look at FC Barcelona and some of the partners they have and how they're able to finance and develop and grow on back of partnerships like Nike, Spotify, and the likes. We want to be able to attract both large sponsors like that, but also local sponsors that can help us move our agenda further. Also investing in fan engagement. There's things that we've done this year, like the virtual watch party, which we've been given a chance now for fans to get together and watch away games that otherwise was not going on. Some of our fans have Game Pass, some of them don't. So being able to build some community around that, there's things like that we want to do. Also investing into our game day experience to make it more of an entertainment destination. One of the things that, statistics that we talk about in American football is, football, the proper football, FC Barcelona proper football, is no question the number one sport and is the most popular sport. Basketball is not far. Baseball is up there too. Football is up there as well. But football has the number one watched event in the world, and that's the Super Bowl every year. And that's not solely because of, Tom Brady versus Drew Brees or Peyton Manning versus Malcolm Smith. It has a lot to do with the entertainment factor along the halftime shows, the pregame festivities. And there's been a lot of success using that model in our league. If you look at what the Hamburg Sea Devils were able to do for their mega match versus the Ryan Fire several weeks back, you got 32,000 people out. A lot of people made a lot of money that day. And yes, it was for the competitive side, but they also had great halftime acts. They had great preseason celebrities at the coin toss. So they're able to create this experience. So I think that that's something that we want to do more of in 2024 and into the future. We'll try some things. We have some things we'll announce in the next day or so for the game on July 29th. That will be, maybe we'll do it here tonight. We'll see, but we're kind of inching towards what that vision is. But that's another piece. And then I would say lastly, investing in the local ecosystem in sport. And not just from a community perspective, but helping to grow and develop the game here and create a culture of high caliber football. Malcolm's a Super Bowl MVP. Myself, I won 2 Fiesta Bowls at Boise State University. My dad is a Hall of Fame high school football coach in the States. He played collegiate football. We come from a very, very rich, from a knowledge perspective, rich American football culture and circle. And one of the things that we want to do is help break some branches off that tree and plant some stuff here that we can kind of build up Spain and Catalonia and Barcelona specifically as a destination for American football on this side of the world. And that starts with high quality football. It has to be good football. We're not interested in building a culture of mediocrity. We want this to be the best football, a football institution. And that's not all about being the biggest, the fastest, the strongest, the toughest, but do you understand the game? Do you understand the culture? Do you understand the rules? Do you understand the unwritten rules? And all that stuff are things that we want to help create here locally throughout Catalonia.
This is great. Like you probably answered like 4 or 5 of my questions. It is great.
Sorry, I'm trying to be efficient.
No, it's good. I love it, and I love your answer because some of our fans are thinking, what they want is to live the American experience, right? And probably most of them they haven't. So can you explain a little bit how is living a football game in the United States from a tailgate, from the halftime show?
Yeah.
Why do you think that football is that good on this matter outside of the sports?
I think that it's just the emotions that come with American football opposed to other sports. But you think about NASCAR, think about rugby, think about hockey. Those are all contact sports. Football, proper football, and basketball are much different. It's much more fluidity, much more tactics and strategy. So naturally, some of these more physically, driven sports, there's a different type of excitement, you know, and that's the type of excitement that wakes you up early in the morning, anxious. You want to go drink before the game, and you want to go eat food, and there's just this build up to it. There's nothing like it, and then there's the kickoff, which is, you know, the big hoorah, if you will. So I just think that part of our culture is something that we do that now with the Power Party and stuff that we'll continue to invest into further. But I think just because of the competitive makeup of the game, it's just something that you think about all day. You know, it brings that anxious. You know, I can tell you as a player, you know, when you know you're gonna get hit at 7 o'clock, you know, you worried. You're not worried, but you think about it all day. You get prepared for it. It's combat. It's safe. You know, healthy, controlled combat. But that breeds and exudes a certain level of excitement that I think creates this whole tailgate, power party, pregame experience. And I also think that some of the rivalries and the competitive nature of it also, you know, fuels that as well.
It's great. It is great, you know. And I think people will be excited about that. People who love football, we know that it's one of the things we love most. And how do you see this league? How do you see the ELF? How do you see this league?
I think this league is very strong, man. I'm really excited to be able to partner with this league and us to be able to be a part of this league. I'm grateful. I think that, and I will say this too, you know, I mentioned earlier that there's some of the expectations that come with this resurgence and reimagining of the Barcelona Dragons, comparing it to the NFL Europe. It's not the NFL Europe, right? It's different. It is a different league. It's a different structure. It's different backing. But I think this league is doing a really, really great job trying to create a professional institution in Europe, you know, and learning a lot from the mistakes made of the NFL Europe days. To speak on that, you know, one of the things I think we've talked about this offline and maybe at the press lunch, but you know, back then you had a bunch of practice squad players from the States. Mm-hmm. They were changing them out every week, every month, and there was no connection to the local community, right? And that can't really scale that, right? Like, people want to see Catalonians want to see Catalonians on the pitch. Americans want to see Americans on the pitch. And while we have Americans in this league now through our import system, we only have 4. Mm-hmm. You know, the rest of the stuff, we have about 7 European imports. We'll move down to 3 next year. The rest of our team are Spaniards. So what that means is when we get people out to the stadium, they're seeing their own play. When you see jerseys up in the stores, they're seeing their own last names on those. And it creates a much more localized excitement around the game that you can scale. You know, so what happens before, when the NFL just said stop and everything went away, the players win. But now you can't do that because this league has set something up for players in Europe to be able to perform professionally. I'm really excited. I think the other thing that they do really, really well that sets us up for success is packaging this thing in a way where people want to see it. You know, it looks good. It's good looking football, and of course, like everything else, we'll get better and the league will improve. But when you turn on a stream, you get the announcers, you know, you get the camera angles, you get the uniformity, you know, you get the camaraderie, you get the fan base, and it feels like American football culture. And this league does a really good job displaying that.
I think so. I think so too. And how do you see these Barcelona Dragons this year?
Well, I mean, obviously we're 2-4 right now, and we'd like to be better. I think that anyone who's tracked these games and watched it, like yourself and any other fans, very easily could be 5-1. Very easily could be 3-3 at least. But, you know, and some say we could be undefeated had it not be for a couple of decisions here and there. So I'm very excited about the future. I'm also excited about the second half of the season. I think that we've learned a lot. The team has learned a lot. We've had a lot of, you know, we look at our import players, Darius Slade, Josh Johnston, Luke Glenna, Connor Miller, up until, you know, obviously the recent injury. Mm-hmm. But 3 of those 4 American import players had never played in the ELF before. If you look at the rest of the league, most of their import players have had previous experience in the ELF. So obviously those guys are getting their competitive legs right. And now you're starting to see these guys start to dominate more like the players that we expect them to. And I think the second half of the season looks very, very promising. But and I'll say this too, there's a lot of stuff that happens in professional sports that fans don't hear about, spectators don't hear about. But as the owner of this team and a partner here, I know about. And I'm very, very proud of the way our team has competed amidst all those things. I'm very impressed with the way our coaching staff has been able to maintain professionalism and lead these guys and compete. And, you know, look, the T-Row Raiders, hats off to them. They swept us this season, both home and away. They're one of the more financed teams in professional sports outside of North America when it comes to what their backing is. We could have beat that team twice, you know. And our team, you know, players really good. And that's an institution. You know, we've been around this time around 3 years. We don't have an academy. We don't have a youth system within the Barcelona Dragons. They do. They have a whole system. And yet and still we're right there with them. So I'm proud and I'm excited to see what we do on this back half.
This is great. This is great. And you as a technology guy, are you, with a technological background, are you implementing some technology change into the way of training, into the way of understanding football on field? Are you implementing these changes into the game?
So, yeah, coming to us, like I said earlier about the timing. So with Playbook 5 at my company specifically, on the training side, we're trying not to disrupt the existing flow as much as possible. You know, we got this thing done, you know, at the 20th to 4th hour. Players are well in training camp. We've had so many other business things that we have to worry about that we haven't been able to integrate that like we want to this year, and we will in the future. And of course, in the perfect world, I own the company, so I wish we could. I wish we could, and it's a great product, so I wish we could use it. But it's you don't want to force anything and disrupt the existing, you know, status quo and cadence. But I'll say on the technology side, some of the things we have done, the virtual watch party is a tech initiative, right? Like being able to use these platforms to connect people. There's a partnership we'll launch next week at the Paris Musketeers game, where fans will be able to tap their phones and get information on the team throughout the stadium on different posters and flyers, which is a technology initiative. You know, so there's things that we've done more on the business side this year that is including and integrating technology. And then once we get into the off season and moving into the 2024 season, that's when we'll start to kind of weave in some of these other things like Playbook 5, like Volt, like Trainer, some of these more performance-based products that we feel like can help take our team and franchise to the next level.
You talk about the game against Paris Musketeers, right? If I would say that most of the football fans are we expecting this game? Are we looking forward to these games, for the rivalry, for everything? The Barcelona Dragons, how are you preparing this game? Because I know that you are doing something great for this game. How are you doing for this game, preparing?
I mean, I'll say this. Our first stop, our coaching staff is focused on the Stuttgart surge this weekend. And I think that is where our entire franchise is focused on competitively. Obviously, home matches we have to kind of plan and do things for. And, you know, I think the Paris Musketeers are a team that, you know, everyone's had circled for obvious reasons. You know, Zach Edwards, who's done great things as a Barcelona Dragon here at quarterback, is now with them. Kyle Sweet as well. You know, they also have what I feel like one of the better and stronger Spanish players on their team as well. And there's history, obviously, between the regions of France and Spain from an historical perspective. So we look to it. And, you know, they're the new kids on the block. You know, we're kind of the team that we helped build kind of their roster this year, if you will. So I think there'll be a lot of emotions around it. But like I said, competitively, we're focused on, you know, the Stuttgart Surge. But from an entertainment perspective, you know, we'll have our first halftime show that game. You know, we'll have an extended power party and fan zone that game as well. And this is something that there's a couple other, you know, things that are in the works right now that we're hoping to pull off for that game that we'll hopefully be able to announce in the next day or so. But, you know, again, Stuttgart Surge this weekend on the road is obviously the most important thing. But I'd be lying if I didn't say that everyone in this franchise, you know, especially the guys that have been here, you know, I consider myself a spectator for this. You know, they feel a lot more about this than I do, and I can understand it. But that's the cool thing about football. You get a chance to play and at least figure things out until the next time we play. So
this is good. This is good. We look forward also to this game against Stuttgart. And I want to ask you about, you know, the local players. You know, having some local stars like Jordi Torreria, like Brugnani brothers, like Tony Monton. Do you think this is the way constructing the Barcelona Dragon, having local talent as superstars?
Oh, most definitely. And there's so many more that will play a part in this. And, you know, and they'll be in our program, and we'll keep them in our program. But, you know, having guys like Jordi, the Brugnani brothers, Tony Monton, I mean, you all those guys you know about. Look, Jordy's probably Torredia is probably one of the smaller receivers we have in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Probably one of the better, more consistent receivers we have in this league too. Tony Monton, same thing, right? They play with a different passion because where they're from, who they're playing for, right? The Brugnani brothers, they compete harder than any guys I've seen anywhere in the world. Like they have it, and that it shows up on the pitch, and that is the type of energy and passion and pride that we have to keep in this program and in this franchise, because that's the lifeblood of this region. So I think we definitely want to feature those guys. We want to develop more. You know, Pacheco is another player that's now coming to our system. We got a glimpse of him last week. I think he'll eventually add to that as well. And I think in the future too, what you'll see is a lot more local players that may not be here now start to see Jordy, start to see the Brugnani brothers, start to see how it just hits different when you're playing for your hometown and you're playing for your region. I think those type of guys, one, they help us build what we have right now, but they also represent for the future other players what they can also do for Catalonia and the Barcelona Dragons.
And how are you going to add this talent from these local teams? How are you planning to do that?
From the local teams?
Yeah.
I mean, that's an outreach thing, right? And that takes time. That's relationships, just like Malcolm, right? So we have to one, make the time, invest in the time to going out and making partnerships, developing partnerships with the right people and the right player pipelines, which we've already began. There's a number of teams and programs that we've talked to here that we're working on things with. And I think also we have to figure out how we can take some of the things that we're doing with this franchise and things that can be applied and can be beneficial for these other programs, allow them to have access to it too. And I think once that happens and there's true partnerships being formed, we'll naturally have those players in our ecosystem. But ultimately, we have to sell a better experience. Mm-hmm. We have to sell the fact that, look, this is a franchise where you're going to come, you're going to play a high caliber football, you're going to compete, you're going to learn how to play American football from people who have succeeded in American football in America at a high level. And it's no better place to do it than the place that you're from. You know, so we just have to make that message known, and it will resonate with the people that we want it to resonate with, and the ones that don't, you know, they'll see us on Saturdays and Sundays. Yeah,
it is. It is. Everyone wants that. And what are the expectations? Your expectation as a member, as a owner of the team, for the Dragons in the next years, and how do you want to make it?
Well, and I haven't been shy about this. We want to be a reflection of what it means to be a proper American football franchise in Europe. We want to represent the best. We want to have the best players. We want to have the best in-game experience. We want to improve our commercial revenue numbers. We want to stabilize this thing. Like, that's what we have to do. We want to make sure that we can build something both on the field and in the offices that our Barcelona Dragons fans and our Barcelona Dragons faithful can say, you know what, this thing's going to be around for a while. And then also everyone in the competitive field is looking at us like, hey, they're setting the trends. They know what to do. They don't have all the things figured out, but they're figuring out how to compete on the field. That's what we want to do. And we want to entertain people. And I'll say this, doing it the right way is important too. Integrity is everything. Like we will be, you know, reimagining and rebuilding our culture here as Dragons, and integrity is going to be a big part of that. So as long as our fans are coming to the games and they're leaving and they feel like they've been respected, you know, I tell people, not just our team, I stay out of a lot of the coaching stuff, but my brother has a team back home and I mentor kids and work with teams. I always say winning and losing is a part of the game. Like sometimes you can control it, sometimes you can't. But how you lose and how you win is everything. And as long as our team is going out there and fighting their tail off like they did last weekend, and they're letting fans in the stands go on that journey with them, and they're having a chance and they're not quitting, we'll be happy. And if the games are not winning, we'll figure out how we can win in the future. But I think that this fan base just wants to see us represent the region and represent the Barcelona Dragons legacy properly out there on the pitch.
Of course, we don't want to see the Dragons winning. So for people like they're watching here from Mundo Deportivo, they are probably not like football fans. They know the Barcelona Dragons. Can you explain how is the experience coming one day in the field in Tarrasa one Saturday afternoon, watching American football, an ELF, a Dragons game on on Terraza.
It's much different than the normal match day here when you think about soccer, or I'm sorry, for proper football and basketball.
You can say soccer, you know.
Proper football and basket, you know, it's a little bit different. You know, obviously we play in Terraza, so there's just getting there is kind of a build up. Great suburb. Whether you go by train or you go by car, it's a very nice ride, very enjoyous ride. And then when you get there, we have our power party, which obviously you can, you know, buy food, buy merchandise, you know, you can buy alcohol right outside the stadium. And then eventually players and fans all kind of get into the stadium and get more into, you know, our pregame festivities. And then it happens. And it's just that whole day, man, it's you've been out there, you've seen it. It's the build up of American football is like no other, you know, because just comparing, you know, you take, you know, proper football and, you know, you're slamming that beer right outside of camp, really, you're trying to get to your seat, you get in there, and ball gets kicked off, and you might get very minimal action in that next first 5 to 7 minutes. You might not see a kick on score until, you know, or kick on goal until, you know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or at all, you know, depending on how the matchup is. The excitement starts at the moment opening kickoff. You got bodies flying around. You got a guy with a ball. You know, the tactics are going. The change of position. Possessions are a lot more obvious, and you have this stop and start, and this it's just a different emotional experience that kind of keeps you on the edge of your seat, and that goes throughout the game. And I think it's the cool thing I saw from the very first game I went to here in Terraza for the Dragons was, it's so exciting that people don't even want to leave after. You know, win, lose, or draw, you know, they're staying for extra 15, 20 minutes, but there's no other action, but they're still just having the emotional download and kind of like, that's what it's like. It's an exciting sport. And it's like no other sport in the world. And I think that once we start to kind of enroll more people and bring on more people from the soccer and proper football community onto it, I think it will really, really thrive here in this region.
Yeah, I think it's a great experience. You described so good. I love the experience. So the next question is about Barcelona. For all the people based here in Barcelona, what kind of activities, actions, experience do you have planned for the next months or weeks that they can enjoy or they can engage with the Dragons?
Yeah, so I mean the rest of our home matches. I know we play the July 29th is the very next one. I'm not sure of the next date. We might have it up, but we have 2 or 3 more in August. Yeah. Those are the best ways to engage. Going to the power party, going to the home games. We'll host the Milano Seamen. We'll also host the Stuttgart Surge. Out on July 29th, we host the Paris Musketeers for that game. We have our virtual watch parties that we are for now hosting at Belushi's, which is a great opportunity to come out this weekend and watch American football and watch the Barcelona Dragons in a very, very cool venue with other Dragons fans. I mean, the virtual watch parties are very similar to the games, and in some ways, just as fun because you have, you know, you're in this room and it's less people, but you know the passion is there, and you really get your diehards there, and you know I'm there, and everyone's always kind of excited to watch the games and these watch parties. But those will be the next 2 immediate ones. The watch party this weekend at Belushi's at 1 p.m. and then next Saturday in Terraza, July 29th versus the Paris Musketeers. And I would just say for everyone to stay close to the phones in the next day or so. There will be a number of announcements about that game and different things that we'll be doing before the game, during the game, after the game. That will be a part of this experience. So, yeah, I think those will be the best ways to get connected.
And one of the things that probably football fans, we don't think, but we see it more as a challenge is how do you want to make or grow the football acknowledgement here in Barcelona? Because one of the things we see is that probably all Barcelona Dragons, a lot of people was going into it, but still we need more people now probably in stadiums going on. How do this new team, new owners, do you want to make it grow the football here in Barcelona? What are your ideas?
Well, I think we want to learn from the past and also listen to the present. And one of the things that we've learned from the past is when the Barcelona Dragons of old were putting 20,000 people in the seats, it wasn't just the Barcelona Dragons that were on display. It was American culture on display. Mm-hmm. You had the cheerleaders. You had the sparge flying. You had the pregame shows. You had all the camaraderie that comes with American football. So that's one thing we want to do, and that's one thing we're starting to do is not just looking at this thing from this is an American football game, but no, this is an American cultural experience done in Spanish fashion, right? But that fusion in itself, I think, is exciting. I think that there's, and talking to fans about this and talking to Catalonians, as well as people throughout the region, there's a thirst and a desire for something new. Mm-hmm. You look at some of the top events that go on here in the summer, Primavera, Beyonce this summer, Bruce Springsteen, you got F1. Like, they're welcome and they're open to things that are cool from other cultures. That is one thing I've learned about this place. So I think the more that we can layer on that experience side of it and differentiate it from proper football, because if you're a proper football fan and you're saying, oh, it's summertime and it's the Barcelona Dragons, well, I don't know what American football is, but if it's like that, then I might as well just wait for, Española or FCB or whoever your team is to play. But when you know that it's a different experience and you're getting this tailgating experience, power party, you're getting these halftime shows, you're getting contact, you're getting, like we did last week, a contest at halftime. Yeah. Where we had the whole stadium playing a trivia and competing for prizes. Like, it's a different experience than anything else. And I think the more people can see that and focus on that, then they'll come to the seats. But I think a lot of it is like what we're doing right now is building awareness. A lot of people don't know the Barcelona Dragons are back, right? The statement goes, the Dragons are back, but yet still some people just don't know, right? So I think awareness has to drive that. But then once we get people to the stadium, we got to give them that experience, and you've seen a little bit of it, but we want to do more, but I think it's really cool. I was talking about the Kahoot thing last weekend. It was really, really cool. I was on the field for it, and this is something that we did at our virtual watch party versus the Helvetic Guards, and to kind of fill the halftime time, we had a competition with Kahoot, and it went so well that we said, let's just do it in the stadium at halftime. And we had about 40% of the stadium on their cell phones playing trivia about old Dragons. We were able to give free merchandise, including the authentic jersey to the top player. And those things don't happen at soccer games, I've been to them, they don't happen. So I think all of that is in packaging that and providing that to people is how we continue to win.
It's great. You're doing really good. And talking about a little bit about the NFL and the Dragons, because we all see think it's connected. How do you see the expansion of the NFL and football, American football, in Europe now coming these years with the international strategy of the NFL?
Yeah, I think the NFL is signaled certainly that they want to be a part of this market and be a part of the international market. Obviously, the London series, the German games now, the games in Mexico City. They've also kind of carved out these marketing regions where, example of that is the Miami Dolphins have the marketing rights for Barcelona, Chicago Bears, and Madrid. So there's definitely some interest and focus there. How much of that we'll see from a strong link between the franchises and the NFL, we'll see. But I think that for Barcelona faithful and American football fans in Barcelona, you have to be excited when the equivalent of FIFA, which is the NFL, is saying that, we care about this market enough to designate one of our franchises to have rights there. There's also obviously been the talks of an NFL match in either Barcelona or Madrid. I think that we definitely, first of all, just put this to rest. I saw on Twitter, which I probably should stay off of, but someone said, oh, well, it's a race between, who's going to have the first NFL game in Spain. And it's like, we already done that. There's been NFL games played here before, whether it was the Raiders or the 49ers. So there's no real race about Barcelona and Madrid. Barcelona is when you think about American football in Spain, and really in Europe, Barcelona is one of the places you think about, and that's already been proven. So, but I think this time around, we'll see the NFL inch towards some of this stuff, and I said this in another interview on another publication. The best thing that Barcelona Dragons fans and Barcelona faithful can do, and American football fans here in Barcelona can do to continue to get the attention of the NFL is support the existing American football ecosystem. And whether that's the Barcelona Dragons, whether that's the Barcelona Dragons, whether that's the Pioneers, whether that's the Bucks, whether that's the Uralaki, support that, because when these platforms, and I'm American, I know what we look at. When we see that there's kids playing, there's fans at the game, there's merchandise being sold, that's what creates the excitement. And Germany is proof of that. Germany, a lot of people didn't say, well, how did Germany go from London to Germany? Well, in Germany, they've been playing in the GFL for years. So they have an existing community. They've been investing in that stuff for a long time. So naturally, the NFL had confidence to go there. We have to create that same type of vibe here. And when we do, I think it's a no-brainer, because everyone in the world wants to be in Barcelona. Everybody. No matter what list you check, it's no less than 3 as far as one of the favorite places in the world. The NFL are humans too. So if they have an opportunity to stand something up here in a beautiful stadium like Camp Nou, with beautiful sponsors like Nike and Spotify, why wouldn't they, right? Of course they would. But they wouldn't if there's no proof that this market will attract what type of numbers they want. And they're looking to things like the Dragons and the youth football ecosystem to kind of get that confidence and excitement.
So are you confident we are going to see a football NFL game sometime soon in Barcelona?
Before the Sagrada de Familia is finished. For sure. But I'll tell you, before you can get to that game, we got games this year. I want to say on that too, because I've always been, and I love what the NFL has done for American football. No question. On this side of the world, there wouldn't be no recognition and connection to the game without the NFL. But football is not controlled by any single entity. The Barcelona Dragons don't control football. The ELF doesn't control American football. The NFL doesn't control American football. American football belongs to the players, the fans, and the ecosystem that supports it, right? So when I think about American football, I don't think of just watching it because the NFL is involved. When I was a kid, I found out about the Barcelona Dragons. I just liked watching football. It wasn't the Raiders. It wasn't the Vikings. It wasn't the Rams. It wasn't the Cowboys. But it was a time I sat on the TV, turned it on, and there were people 11 on 11, helmets, shoulder pads, and it was what I liked. So we don't have to wait for the NFL to start embracing American football. For people that love the game, the Barcelona Dragons are playing right now. The Barcelona Dragons are playing right now. The rookies are playing right now. There's an American football ecosystem here that can be supported. And yeah, we don't have Dak Prescott and Tom Brady, but we have Jordi Tortilla. We have the Brignani brothers. We have Cesar. We have Connor Miller. We have Darius Slade. We have Josh Johnston, guys that have played at those ranks. And it's the same game. It's the same game. The game does not change. In the States, we have this thing where the ranking, you start youth, you play high school, you play college, and you get lucky enough to get drafted to the NFL. And as you're starting to get up that ladder, when you talk to people, one of the games, the field is the same size. The only thing that changes is the stands around it. 120 yards up long, 53 in the third wide. Everywhere you go, the only thing that changes is the stands around it and the amount of seats. So the game is the same. And I think that the more and more we can embrace American football as a sport, and less of waiting for the NFL to come blow something up for us, that's how you set things up for the long term. Because to be quite honest, the NFL has shown how they work before, right? They're going to come when it's good, and it's going to work. And then maybe one quarter it doesn't. And then all of a sudden, it's gone. Yeah. That's not what the ELF is building. That's not what we're building with the Barcelona Dragons.
It's a good news. It's a good headline. That the good thing, in a good way, in a bad way, you are going to keep in Barcelona, that you are investing in Barcelona in this city, right? So we're going to end with probably 3 questions, okay, that we have planned, for in mass media, a little bit for people that is not following, I probably you answer something similar, but for a person that is watching now this interview and has never seen or watched football, why a person that doesn't follow on a regular basis football, American football, should start following it?
It's a beautiful sport in different ways, right? The tactics plus the explosive, gameplay plus the contact plus the camaraderie. it just creates this emotional experience like none other. But the other thing I'll say is the values are a lot different too, right? Think about war, which, to be honest, football is a lot like it. Sports are a lot like it. Trust is a big part of that, right? And the higher the risk of injury goes up, the more trust you have to have. This is American football. So when it's a like all the things that it builds and provides and it values teamwork, communication, brotherhood, trust, all of those same things that you have to do to play American football at a high level, or really at any level, they're the same things you have to do to build a solid society and to build a great community. So I think that this connection between, how we live as people and the same, characteristics and pillars being represented in American football are a reason to pay attention. And the other part is it's local. It's yours. It's ours. The Barcelona Dragons belongs to Catalonia. We are the only professional American football team in all of Spain as it exists right now. Mm-hmm. There should be great pride in that. Like that. And we have an opportunity this year to create a leg up on what will be a team in Madrid. And if that's not enough reason to do something, then maybe all this Barcelona Madrid stuff up here is not real. But if it's as genuine and as competitive as I hear, I'm from LA. If you tell me something about New York, and it's LA versus New York, well, I'm signing up for it. Whether it's Lakers versus Knicks, whether it's the Kings versus the Texas Rangers or the New Jersey Devils, I'm signing up for it. And I'm going to be there and I'm going to support it because that's my team, that's my base, and they represent me and they represent my interests. That in itself is a reason to come support. And also I think that timing, right? You don't want to be the person, when we get this thing to where we get it to, you don't want to be the person that questioned it. Because I'm telling you, whether you want it to happen or not, it's happening. Because I'm making it happen. Because Malcolm's making it happen. Because ELF is making it happen. So either you're going to be a part of it now, or you'll come around 10 years later, and as they say, the kids say, prices change then, right? Like the prices don't stay the same. Everything goes up. So we don't want the type of fans that will come back and try to come to the bandwagon years later and say, oh yeah, no. We want the folks that see the vision, and we'll welcome those as well, because there'll be tickets and seats available for them. But we want people that are going to be a part of this journey with us, help us build this and grow this, and that we know support them. We don't want to have to build the castle and then invite people. We want people to help us build the castle so we can make sure we're building it the right way.
This is good. And you mentioned about Madrid. Probably not everybody did before, but how do you see this Madrid rivalry now coming into the league, coming later than Barcelona did? How do you see this rivalry?
I mean, you look, you're better suited to speak on it than me. I mean, the Barcelona Dragons are here right now, and the Madrid team will be here next year. We've been in the ELF for 3 years. We've been in American football since the early 90s. When the NFL launched its first 3 original franchises in Europe in the NFL, the Barcelona Dragons were one of them. So, I don't think we really have to compete too much with the Madrid American football market. I think it is what it is, the way I see it. But we welcome it and we're excited because it's good for the region. It means that this whole place is boom. It means that Barcelona did a good enough job that where another city wants to see what they can do with it, right? So, and also it creates an opportunity for us to have a really, really awesome matchup next year. One here and hopefully one there. So it's all positive. I mean, it's a rivalry. We've spoken to the ownership group over there, and like I've told him and them, on match day we're adversaries for sure. But every other day of the year, we are in some ways partners in this thing as well, because together we're responsible for building out this whole American football ecosystem in Spain. So I'm excited. I've picked my side. I'm picking my side. But and I'm happy I'm on you guys' side as well, because you guys are very passionate.
Yeah,
our market is very passionate about this potential rivalry.
And 2 last questions. Okay, first one, for all the soccer fans that are probably bored that they have no soccer, for all the people that is excited about the Barcelona Dragons, probably we mentioned before what are the next steps to engage with the Barcelona Dragons anytime soon, in the next days, in the next weeks? Tell them when they can meet you, when they can.
So you can meet me at Belushi's this weekend at 1 p.m. on Sunday, we call it $1,300.
Yeah, we're straight to a 13, yeah.
$1,300 at Belushi's Barcelona in Plaza de Catalunya.
Yeah.
I'll be there. The fans will be there. Our animation crew will be there. We'll likely have a guest on at halftime as well. We try to keep at least one NFL player in the room for these virtual watch parties. But that's opportunity number one. And then next week, July 29th at Olympic Stadium in Terrassa versus the Paris Musketeers. We host Zach Edwards, Kyle Sweet, some of the more historical of recent years players of the Barcelona Dragons. They did a great job here, part of this franchise. They're now playing for the Paris team, and we'll be trying to get the season back right, and it'll be a great time. We're going to have an extended fan zone and power party. There'll be a halftime act that we'll announce this weekend in the coming days, which is an American artist. That's the one hint I can tell you guys. We have someone coming from the other side of the world that this will be his first show in Spain. He's performed throughout Europe and other places, but it's his first time performing in Spain. So it's a very exciting opportunity for him as an artist as well. And then, like I said, every other home game that we have this August. And then, checking us out on social media too. Barcelona.Dragons on Instagram, Dragons_BCN on Twitter. Purchasing the merch. We have cool stuff like the hat here. We have shirts. We got keychains. We got umbrellas. We got authentic jerseys. We got replica jerseys. We got all type of things that you can buy from our merch store to help show in the community. Because that's another part that we talked about, visibility. We need to be out there. We need to show people that the Barcelona Dragons are back. Every time I wear my stuff in the streets, people say, the Dragons, I remember. We have to see more of that, and we want to see more of that out in the community. And, we're doing things like the giveaways. So we'll have a giveaway this weekend, too, at Belushi's. So you come through, play some Kahoot, watch the game, and then maybe you might win something as well and get some free merch.
We got really cool logo, really cool Dragons. I think everybody know about Dragons, about all Dragons, new Dragons, so new stuff. It's really cool. So the last question is, are you coming here to Barcelona to make the Barcelona a winning team? When are we going to see the Barcelona team winning the ELF?
So, before the Sagrada de Familia.
Awesome. You used this answer before. No.
Soon, man. Soon. It's tough to put a time on it, but soon. And I'll just say this for if that answer is not good enough, do your research on Malcolm Smith as a player at a high school level, at a collegiate level, at a professional level. Do research on Jason Robinson as a collegiate player, as a high school player. And study these programs, Boise State, USC, Grambling State University, these places that our American football culture that we are now imparting on this region comes from. The one through line with all of those teams is winning. Grambling State is one of the winningest coaches in American football history. Eddie Robinson was my dad's college football coach. Mm-hmm. My dad won 200 games over a 30-year career coaching football. Malcolm has a Super Bowl championship and a Super Bowl MVP. His brother also has a Super Bowl championship. I won 2 Fiesta Bowls in college. But winning is what we do as just a byproduct of being a part of this thing. So the sooner and we get our culture embedded here, we're going to see those things. It's just a matter of time.
Thank you really much for all the questions. We asked you really tough questions because it was not a really easy question. You answered all of them, so we really appreciate it, Jason, for having you here. Hopefully we can see with you, with the new group, this growth of the Barcelona Dragons, this awareness, how we see again a Barcelona Dragons. Yeah. A Barcelona full of dragons, not only soccer or a football league. You can see again places in full stadiums. You can see other people dressed with dragon stuff. So we're really excited. Thank you for being here today with us. I'm going to stop again to Spanish to close this interview. Como habéis visto, los Barcelona Dragons vienen a ganar con espíritu ganador, con un grupo propietario ganador, con un espíritu ganador, con ganas de traer la experiencia americana en Barcelona. Y para esto, como ha dicho, tenemos 2 grandes eventos en las próximas semanas. Primero, una watch party que están organizando muy bien los Barcelona Dragons aquí en Barcelona, en Plaza Cataluña. Tenéis todos los detalles en su Instagram, en el Bar de Lucis, y la experiencia de todos los partidos que junto a The Fumble Show las disfrutamos. Nada más, muchas gracias a todos los que estáis viendo. Ya lo sabéis, The Fumble Show es la casa del fútbol americano, es la comunidad de fútbol americano. Os animo a todos que nos sigáis en el Fumble Show ES, en Instagram, en YouTube, para participar, para uniros a las quedadas, a las fiestas, a las watch parties, a los eventos. Nunca estaréis solos, veréis junto a vuestros equipos, los Dragons, la NFL, toda la experiencia, y junto a Mundo Deportivo, la casa del deporte, aquí el diario líder de deporte nacional. Muchas gracias a todos los que nos estáis viendo. Ya lo sabéis, mi nombre es Matías Ramón, aquí con Jason Robinson, todo el equipo, junto a Iván Milán, Andrea Listeveanu y todo el equipo de Mundo Deportivo, que gracias y hoy nos ha dado y nos hemos podido hacer esta entrevista. Nos volvemos a ver pronto aquí en Mundo Deportivo.